Hey everyone, welcome back again this week to Take My Hand. I'm here with Luba again. Hi Luba.
Hi, Patrick.
We've got a very special episode for you guys this week. I say this every week, I know, but every episode is special to me. So we're going to talk about creating a lasting, profound connection, and we're also going to talk about sacred space. In other words, allowing the person in front of your partner really to be who they really are with no judgment and no imposition of your will and your expectations, to just be. And that's how you create something really lasting and very, very profound and get to know each other on a deeper level. So first of all, Luba, before we get started, what tea are you drinking today?
Well, nowadays I drink this incredible raspberry tea, and this raspberry tea is really doing something to my womb. I feel like that my womb and like everything in me is just really like almost like blooming from this raspberry tea. So I highly recommend it to all the women who are watching this show. And
Okay.
you, Patrick, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Armenian herbal tea that my mom got in the homeland. And I'm not usually big on herbal teas, but I don't know, it reminds me of my childhood, so I'm used
Mhm.
to it.
Beautiful. Yeah, it looks great as always, Patrick. I also want to compliment on the choice of the color for your sweater. It looks really, really nice with your with the color of your hair.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have a good taste.
Apparently I do, but good
Yeah,
to know. Thank you. Thank you very much.
absolutely.
So, yeah, let's get started. I mean, Luba, would you like to get us started? Whatever comes into mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. How to make a profound connection? This is such a wonderful question. I love it so much in the times of shuffling of partners and so many different connections. How is it possible to have so many connections and yet at the same time to make them profound? First of all, genuine interest towards another person, towards their journey, towards their soul, what they've been through. Uh, that is what makes the foundation for a profound connection. And it means getting out of our own fears, getting out of our own projections and immediate hallucinations about like something that women love to do. For example, the moment a woman sees a potential candidate, immediately she starts planning how they're going to be together, making babies, and building a house, instead of concentrating on what is, like seeing the person as they really are, and exploring what it is that they are about. My one of my favorite questions to ask is, what inspires you? And a lot of people get really surprised by that question, like, wow, well, let me think about it. Nobody ever asked me that. But isn't that the most important thing? Isn't that so much more important than asking, so what do you do? Right? Because what inspires you can be um, your desire to change the world in a certain way. It might not implicate your actual occupation. It can be about your hobby, but whatever it is, you can see how the eyes of another person light up when they're answering that question, and the whole conversation from that question can flow in a very beautiful space. So that's how I usually start making profound connection. And what about you, Patrick?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned inspiration because, sorry, that just kicked me right back into my head. I was sitting with one of my very, very close friends, and we were talking about, I mean, the women who really touched our lives. And we travel a lot, my buddy and I. And so, unfortunately, I haven't been able to really settle down much lately. And so they're very, sometimes it can be very, very short connections, and sometimes they can be very profound, and they last several months. But again, and then life, life is impermanence, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I always said I've kind of I've stopped looking for someone in particular. You know, we'll always have like this mental projection of what we think we're looking for. You know, she has to be this, she's got to do this and that. And now it's kind of moved towards, I mean, she has to inspire me. And I noticed that I don't really have a very physical type, but there's a feeling that I get. There's something about this woman that and that just inspires me. It makes me feel alive, you know, and I want to be my best self. I want to push myself hard, and I want to bring out, you know, her beauty. It really, that's what it is for me. So to answer your question, what does it mean to create a connection? Space, especially coming from the masculine, it's about fearlessly holding space, right? And what is the number one? You said it so beautifully. You said it's about stepping out of your fear. And the number one fear that will come up when I'm working with my my men clients is always, what if I run out of things to say? What do I run out of things to do? Like what? And this fear ultimately comes from a desire for certainty. But if you're clinging to certainty, you're clinging to a specific outcome, then you are not, by definition, holding space for your partner to be herself around you, right? You're trying to contrive this structured, you'll never create a connection like that. It's about really
Yeah.
stepping back.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. And I'm glad that you're talking about the stepping back or stepping forward. It's a nice terminology. So so in some ways, for example, you will never run out of questions to ask if you are genuinely interested in the person. Another
Yes.
person has had a long life, parents, childhood things to share, definitely inspiration, definitely their dreams, for example, their concerns about the world. There's so many things to ask. So that's number one. Now about stepping forward and stepping back, that is a very profound terminology that we can talk about specifically for the feminine. So sometimes some women who feel very independent, outspoken, and occupy positions of authority tend to step forward a lot. And that stepping forward can sound like questioning, or it can almost sound like a therapist is talking to the man that, let's say, a woman is dating or is in a relationship with. And that is, I would call, a very stepping forward technique. Stepping backwards is more about allowing for the space to happen. It's more about creating space for the masculine to come in, and to come in with this with a drive, with a desire, because the man has to make his own decisions, whether he is driven or not. Otherwise, it's not going to work anyway. And for the feminine, just to trust that, and as I said in the previous episode, to connect with her own nature through senses, to connect to her own pleasure, and to listen with her heart, to be present with her heart, and at the same time to allow for the dance to happen. And so the stepping forward and backwards comes in then more naturally. But if you find yourself just stepping forward all the time, as a woman especially, that is not a very good sign. That means you're really sucking the air out of the interaction and out of sacred space. So that's my take on that. Does it make sense?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I view it as a dance. It's kind of, we'll take a step forward, we'll take a step back, we'll take a step forward, we'll take a step back, but it's together. It's not, I have to, for the masculine, right? It's like I have to wear her down. I have to constantly fill up every silence, have something interesting to say, because I have you know, to push and win, you know, and hope she doesn't flake. And it's, I mean, take a deep breath, take a
That,
deep breath and allow it to unfold the way that it naturally and normally should. And sometimes it's at a slower pace, and sometimes it's a very, very fast pace. You meet someone and there's just this instant chemistry, and before you know it, you're both, you know, in a bed somewhere, and the clothes are all over, and that's a beautiful experience as well. You know, it's not to say it's good or bad. And then there's other times where, you know, I've had moments where, you know, I met someone. Actually, this is a beautiful story. I met someone, and we had a very deep connection. I met her on a park bench. I was walking back, and I saw her, and I couldn't take my eyes off her. So that's what I said. I said, I can't take my eyes off you. And we sat and we spoke for a good 2 hours, and we talked about meditation, and we talked about her fears and her anxieties, and she really opened up. And I said, look, it's currently I'm a very busy person, and so to me it's up to the universe. I will give you my phone number, and if you want to reach out to me, you can. And the funny thing is, she never reached out to me, and she never. I checked my phone, she never called, And then 2 months later, by chance, I was at an event and I see her from the corner of my eye, and I look at her and she looks at me, and then she gets this big smile on her face, and I said, "Come here." And she comes and we big hug, and she says she was a bit anxious because she thought I'd be mad at her for not calling. And we were just talking and catching up. And I said, "Why didn't you call?"
Yeah.
And she said, I didn't know if you really cared or not. And that was her story. That was the space that she needed to feel like I really, really cared. And we ended up we were together for a few months after that. She's amazing, amazing. I can't say enough good things about this girl. She's absolutely incredible. But she needed that space. And so
Yeah.
the point is that if you're caught in your mind and you're constantly pushing, 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 then you won't allow that space to be there. You won't allow her to experience you the way that she needs to experience you.
Beautiful.
Sorry, what do you think, Luba?
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. I love that, creating more space. And also, we are really afraid of silence. And sometimes silence can be dead air, right? When there is silence while both people are, let's say, are not present, or at least one of them. And what does it mean? That they're there half asleep, or thinking about something else, or looking into their phone. Like, imagine two people in connection with each other, but thinking about something else, or looking at their phone. And imagine the air between them. It's
It's
dead.
not fully there,
Yes,
enjoying
it's
his presence.
exactly. It's not. And then at the same time, there can be silence, which can be experienced together, which can be very profound. Like, for example, I'm sure I also had once a date on a mountain in India.
Mhm.
We were sitting on the mountain meditating in complete silence for a very long time, and yet we were sharing the silence. We were sharing, right, because we were present to the mountains. And in fact, before that silence happened, my partner at that time, who was a yoga teacher, he said, "Look at the mountain. It is imperfect as a human body, and at the same time it is absolutely beautiful in its imperfection. Look at all the imperfections. Look at it as it is. Nature with it within its imperfection is perfect." And there we went, and we were sitting there, and hours and another hour, and the sun already went down, and we shared that magnificent experience. Nothing to be afraid of. I also want to say that breath is a vehicle and a conduit for sharing silence and for sharing presence meaningfully. So when I talked about establishing rapport for a more profound connection, and rapport can be shared at first through the eyes. And when we talk about the eyes, it's important, instead of having these eyes of judgment, like you're looking and you're analyzing, and you're like putting things on the shelves of your consciousness, judging this person to be this or that. But instead, profound connection is made when your eyes are receptive. They're just receiving, they're opening, they're allowing another person to see you from inside. So that's number one part of profound connection. Number two is the breath. That's what happens when you start to synchronize your breath with the breath of another person. And so you can come in this kind of synchronization dance of how fast your consciousness flickers, almost through synchronization of breath. It's really, really profound. So that's another big step in creating space for profound. Does it make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. I want to spend actually our next episode. We'll be talking about this is grounding yourself, especially in presence, especially for the masculine, in order to be able to be firmly rooted within yourself. In order to be better, to be present, to be a better person and a happier individual, you need to be rooted in yourself. You need to be grounded, and you do that through your breathing. And ultimately, what will happen is you end up pulling your partner into your peace, even if there's chaos externally. Instead of being sucked into the drama of life, you pull your partner into your peace, and that's a beautiful thing. But I think we should devote an entire episode to that.
I love that. I love that. Like, to draw the partner into a piece. And how many times does it happen when unconsciously people draw another partner into their neuroticism? This is exactly what we want to let go of.
Well, it goes back to my earlier example of this
Yeah.
constant fear, of what if I run out of things to say, or what do I need to project this image so that she can like me, like this, she needs to know exactly, like, no, no, whoa, 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 whoa. And I want to share a beautiful story actually that I only shared with one other person. Nobody knows about this. And basically, when I was living in Warsaw, I was walking home from, I was at a meeting, I think. I don't remember what I was doing, but I was walking home, and in the street I saw this gorgeous, 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 gorgeous Polish girl. She was so beautiful, and she was so feminine, and so, oh, she was incredible. So I started talking to her, and at one point, as we're talking, her English was great, and as we're talking, she goes, "I didn't eat yet. Did you eat?" And I said, "I could eat." So we went to a restaurant together, and as we were eating, again, I mean, basically all I do, this is, Casanova says that love is three-quarters curiosity. And if you don't have that curiosity, then you can't hold space, right? And if you're always worried and you're pushing, by definition, you're not curious because you're pushing a view onto your partner. So instead, when you take a step back and you're just curious, that's all I do. I sit and I listen. I want to know who this person is. I ask the right questions. And so she gradually started opening up and opening up and opening up. And she said something amazing to me. Um, we finished up. I went to the bathroom, and as I came out, I noticed she had paid the bill, first of all, which I found to be incredibly interesting because I never thought I was worthy of someone taking me out to lunch for a change. And so I was walking her to the train, and I said, look, we got to the train station. I said, I want to see you again. I said, I like you. I really want to see you again. And she gets a bit darker, and she says, I can't. I can't see you again. And I said, why? And while we were sitting and having lunch, as I was looking at her and she was expressing herself, I noticed it in her eyes. I said, there's something. You're running from some kind of storm. There's something that you're dealing with, something that's weighing you down. And so as we were by the train station, I don't remember her exact wording, but the way that she said it, I understood that she was dying of a disease. She didn't have a very long time, and she wasn't well physically. Her health wasn't good. And she said she doesn't want to see me again for that very reason. That she doesn't want to get attached, and she doesn't have a lot of time. But she said that I'm quoting her here. She says, I've never felt so noticed in my entire life. I've never felt so listened to, so beautiful in my entire life. And I looked at her and I said, I will always remember you as maximally beautiful. I will never think anything other than how beautiful you are. And I'm not talking about physical beauty. What I'm talking about is her inside as a person. And so we shared this moment, and I haven't seen her since. I don't know if she's alive. I don't know if she's well, and if she's listening to this, please reach out. I would love to hear from you. But that's something that I will never, ever, ever forget, is that we shared this incredible moment together, and I'll carry that. I'll never see her again, and she will never see me again, maybe. But I know that she's still carrying this with her, and I'm still carrying this with me. And so to me, that's so unbelievably beautiful. And this came about by holding sacred space, by letting her be who she is around me, with no judgment, no preconditions, nothing contrived, just me being there, being curious and being fascinated by this person who's in front of me. What are your thoughts, Luba?
Yeah, I think it is a beautiful situation. Again, it goes about being in totality, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're with. Again, I love this whole point of turning our lives into spiritual practice, especially dating, because that requires often the highest integrity. And within dating, we encounter sometimes the biggest fears, that we have to be rejected, that we're not good enough, that things are impermanent, and feeling unsafe. Especially women definitely feel that way because they're programmed to to feel that, to think that they need a lot of security to raise a family. So I feel like now, which episode is this one, Patrick?
We're at episode 8.
That's pretty amazing. Now the show is flowing, and I can really feel what we're doing finally. So what I feel that we're doing is that in the times of this fast-paced dating environment, which is a reality this way or that way for everyone, for better or for worse, but that's what's happening. You and I are giving this way to people to make it real, and to make it a vehicle for growth, and to actually, it's a very tantric concept to transform possible poison into nectar. And this is exactly what the show is about. Now I'm really coming to that understanding, so I'm very
Relationship
glad.
alchemy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So this is wonderful. Thank you very much. And
Yeah, give
yeah.
us a specific before I let you go. First of all, folks, please tune in next week because we're going to talk about presence and being rooted in yourself and pulling your partner into your peace instead of being dragged into chaos. But Luba, give us a very specific exercise that the feminine could employ to create a profound connection.
Mm. Yeah, it's very often coming into the presence of here and now, and helping another person to get out of their head and to come into the present moment, not to let the conversation flow around achievements necessarily that much, or projections into the future, but grounding things into what is, noticing the environment. Sometimes for a woman, if she feels comfortable in her skin, in her body, and what I usually do, the first thing that I do is I would hug someone, and the hug means, it brings a huge difference as you connect to another person in a deep way, in a hug which is calm and at the same time intimate, in terms of the soul connecting to another soul. A hug can show a trust. It can show. It can allow you to synchronize your heartbeat and synchronize your breath. And if the woman at that moment, hopefully she feels centered and grounded and calm, with one hug alone, it is possible to invite the man into sharing of that. And also it shows that, as a woman, you're welcoming this soul connection. And it is important at the same time to know your own boundaries, because the hug which comes from the heart is not a lustful hug. It's not a hug that suggests sexuality necessarily. It's not a hug that is unsafe. It is a fully grounded, safe, centered hug that shows that one soul recognizes, appreciates, and welcomes another soul for a profound connection, and to share this calm space together. So that is definitely my advice. And of course, to practice something like that, tantric practice is really wonderful. Tantric people are definitely masters in this kind of hug. Yeah, so that's my advice.
Very good.
And what is yours?
My advice is, men, shut the hell up. No, on a more serious note, relax. Relax, relax, relax. Stop trying to dominate the conversation. Stop talking about yourself. Stop adding a better story to her story. Stop talking about your achievements. Just relax and allow yourself to be curious. Just be with this beautiful person in front of you and find out as much as possible. No judgment, no stamp of good or bad on anything that she does or says. Just be with each other and enjoy each other. It's very, very simple. In other words, step out of your head. You're only hurting yourself.
That sounds very, very good. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Patrick. This
Thank
was
you, Luba, and
great.
we'll talk next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.